violation list absolutely for free in virtual wholesaling real estate. What is up, guys? Zach Ginn here, and in today's video, I really want to show you a step-by-step tutorial how right now you can pull the code violation list absolutely for free, guys. This is going to be my complete start to finish tutorial guide for a beginner where we're going to break down what is a code violation, why I love code violations, and most importantly, why you need to pull code violations in your own wholesaling real estate business. Before we break it down, do me a big favor, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, and let's break it down. So the first question is, what is a code violation? Code enforcement is basically a law enforcement agency that pretty much protects the code for the city or municipality. Things like if nothing's up to code, so if there's too much grass or too much debris on a property, or the grass is too tall, there's structural damage, something that is a quote unquote eyesore, it is a local code enforcement that is going to be doing this thing. So the four most common code violations that I've personally seen from most code enforcement agencies, especially the ones you want to pull, are tall grass, structural damage and debris, inoperable vehicles, and trash and junk. Next, a really big one is environmental damage or environmental hazards. This is another one where some code enforcements are a little different on it, but it's really a really good one to be using. Now, how code violations work is your code enforcement department, sometimes they're called the neighborhood services department, will go actually out here and drive for dollars. You heard it right. They actually go in their car, drive around, and look for ugly looking houses to put in the code violation list. When a house is against code, it is in violation of it, so hence why we have the name code violation. The second most common way a code violation happens is when the neighbors complain. Now, I'm telling you guys, neighbors complain a lot of the times. They actually call code enforcement to go out and actually start finding them for code violations. Now, once the code enforcement finds that it is against code, they usually put a little sticker on there saying you are in violation. Some places are pretty nice, really give you 3, 4, or 5 days before you get fined, and some are actually really mean and aggressive. But really what it means is, since you're behind on code, maybe the grass is too tall, they're actually going to charge you $30, $40 a day until the code violation is resolved. You actually have to call your code violation officer that actually gives it to you, or the code enforcement department or the officer that has it. They have to come back, inspect it, make sure it's all good, and then you have to pay your fine from there. So if it's $40 a day and then the thing is going for 10 days, that's a $400 fine. Guys, I have actually seen fines in local governments that actually impose these on my deals up to $10, $20, even $30,000. Now, why do I love code violations and code enforcement leads so much, and why do I always say this is one of the best government lists for you to be going after? Well, number one, when the property is in disarray and it's really distressed, that means that the motivation on the deal is huge. Guys, the motivated seller actually has a lot of motivation just to get rid of the property just for themselves, and the property is really motivated. I've always said in a wholesaling real estate deal, when the property is motivated and the seller is motivated, that is the best mix possible. You can do a deal when the seller's motivated and the house isn't too motivated, and if the seller's not too motivated but the property is just stressed and motivated, you can get a deal. But the best sweet mix of these things is when the seller has actually a lot of motivations and the property has a lot of motivations. The next part about why I love code violations so much is it's an absolutely free list. It costs $0 to do. The next part here, it's completely virtual. Now, if you do it in person, that's probably gonna be the best one. But guys, you can pull code violations absolutely for free. It literally costs $0 to go out here and pull this list. Also, another big part is you actually have free employees basically driving for dollars for you. These code enforcement officers are driving around town looking for ugly deals for you. And yes, they don't want to make the money off the fines, but you can also get this information from the code enforcement department. So it's free, it's virtual. These people are driving looking for ugly houses. Your neighbors are complaining on the ugly houses they want sold and getting rid of. Guys, it's an absolute ultimate list for you in wholesaling real estate. And hint, hint, your local real estate guru doesn't want to tell you it because they are broke and they actually don't wholesale houses for real. Now, it is true that since these are $20, $30, $40 a day fines, you can rack up a $10, $20, $30,000 fine. Now, another last reason why I love code violations so much is I'm able to have the skills to help sellers where most realtors, and if you just try to sell on a FSBO, you can't do. Now, I've personally gotten $20,000 or $30,000 code violation fines down to $1,000 and $2,000 because I have the connections. Hint, hint. When I actually pull the code violation list, when I talk to code enforcement, I actually build a relationship with the officers and I can actually negotiate the deals down. They actually know this to a fact. And this works really, really well for me, where a local realtor can't do this and no other person can do this, where I can provide a service where I can produce so much more equity for the seller. I can actually give them an extra $20,000, $30,000 worth of equity of just fines negotiated down because I know what I'm doing and I've dealt with code violations before. This can really help you out getting that deal with that motivated seller. Now, you're not going to negotiate every single single fine down by 10x or bring a $50,000 fine to $5. You can maybe do half or by 4 or 5, but really every single code enforcement department is slightly different. And one really important thing I want to tell you guys is code enforcement departments are different everywhere. So if I'm in Miami-Dade County, let's say I'm in Miami, Florida, there's actually 2 code enforcement departments. There's the city of and then the actual county. So the city of Miami has their own code enforcement department, and then the county of Miami-Dade County has their own. So when you're going actually out here and pulling a code violation list, just know there's 2 code enforcement agencies actually doing this for you, so you can actually get double the list. So many people forget that. If I'm in Dayton, Ohio, I can actually go to the Montgomery County Code Enforcement Department and then the city of Dayton Code Enforcement and actually get 2 lists. Now let's get in the nitty-gritty on actually how to pull the code violation list. Number 1, find your code violation or your code enforcement departments. I would search city of code enforcement or city of neighborhood services and then the blank county code enforcement or code violation list. Just look it up. Usually online you can find them pretty quick and get a phone number. Now the next thing is how to ask for this information. So you pull up, you're on your phone, you're in person. So let's talk about in person first. So I'm gonna walk up to the code enforcement department and they'll be like, hello, how can I meet you? Hello, how are you? And what you wanna basically say is, can I please get a list of all open code violations for the past 30 days? Now, a lot of times, this is gonna be the first time the code enforcement department has ever actually heard of this before. Now, if you're in a bigger city or county like Dallas or Houston, they're obviously gonna actually have it for you right there and just give it to you. Houston actually just gives it out absolutely online for free in real time. But if you're in a smaller county or city, they're gonna be like, wait, what? You're not here to pay a fine? You actually want this information? You know what? We can't give that. That's private information. Now hear me out, guys. Since you are a private tax-paying citizen and you actually pay these people's salaries with your taxes, you actually have a right to this information. This is not like special John F. Kennedy presidential secret FBI information that's top secret and the US military needs to know this stuff. This is just private government information that actually is public information, so you actually know how your local government's running. No lives are at risk here. There's no big crazy things gonna happen to get this information. So really what you wanna do here is most likely it's gonna be a new clerk that's actually saying no to you. There's gonna be somebody that just got hired a year or 2 ago. They actually don't know how government really works, and they don't understand when you work for the government, especially in a local, smaller government, pretty much all their information is public. So what you're gonna wanna do is pull a Karen. And sorry for anyone named Karen on here, that might feel bad what I just said, but it's absolutely true. Ask to speak to the manager. I promise you, once you get a manager that's been working in the code enforcement department for 5 or 10 years, they've dealt with somebody like this before and they actually understand that they actually have to give the information out, and you just keep going to the higher up. The most common question I always get is, Zach, I tried to pull the code violation list and they said no. What do I do? I'm just gonna give up. The truth is sometimes you might have to go out and ask for it 2 or 3 times before you even get this list. Actually look at that as an exciting thing, because if it's the harder to get the list, that means it's harder for your competition to get this list. And the harder it is for your competition to pull this list, the more money you're gonna make on that list because there's less wholesalers going after it. Now, worst case scenario, if the manager, the supervisor, the head, you talk to the city attorney and they say there's no way, we're not giving this information, all you gotta do is file a FOIA Act or a Freedom of Information Request Act. This pretty much is a public document requesting this public information and actually getting it in written form requested. This might be shocking to know, but once they get that form and they actually say no to it, they are technically violating the FOIA or Freedom of Information Act, and this is now impeding on your civil rights as a tax-paying citizen, which means their supervisor can get fired and get in a lot of trouble if they actually don't do it. So most of the times when you file a FOIA Act, you actually have to comply with this. Now, sometimes when you get a FOIA Act, they understand they actually have to give this information, they get really upset at you. And they might say, you know what, we have to charge you 50 cents for every document and record pulled, and blah, 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 it's gonna cost all this money to get this list. Make sure you request to get this email to you, or you'll actually get this in person, or you can take a picture of the computer. Now, sometimes they're gonna force you to pay maybe $5, $10, $15 for this list, and no, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I'm gonna keep asking away actually how to get it for free. And 99% of the time, you're gonna get it for free. Now, the last objection they might give you here is, why do you want this information? We need to know if we give it to you. And most of the time, they're actually scared you're gonna get this information and then sell it for a third party, which obviously you shouldn't be doing. And they might say, why do you want this information? So the only really answer I've always given is, I'm a private tax-paying citizen doing independent research. Now, if you really want to get really technical with it, you can say I'm doing this for a school project. And technically, you're learning real estate from my YouTube channel, and you are technically my student here. So you are a student doing a school school project, the school of Zach, right? So just go with that. It's going to help you so much. I see so many wholesalers go out here and be like, I'm a real estate investor and I provide cash solutions and I'm here to really help my sellers out. That will never get you it. Guys, these people are people. They're not robots. They are government workers that are actually people. If they don't feel comfortable with what you're doing with the list, they're not going to give it to you. And I don't know why I have to say this sometimes, but yes, have a smile and actually be really nice to these people. They are human beings. Now, they might ask what kind of code violations, so go back to the top 4: high grass, junk and trash, debris, structural damage, inoperable vehicles, just those top 4, and request for all open and active code violations for the past 30 days. Now, you can do this virtually by not just going in person. You actually get your phone and actually call a supervisor and ask. The coolest part about looking up these people online is actually some of the managers and supervisors, you can actually just call them up. Their phone numbers are publicly listed, or you can just email and request this. I'm telling you right now, going in person will give you a so much better chance of getting this list. Calling is going to be the second best, and email is going to be a little harder because they can really say no to you. There's not much you can do over email. Now let's break down really quick what are the marketing strategies once I pull this list. You should pull this list in a CSV format, basically an Excel format or a Google Sheets format, and that's really going to organize everything so you can skip trace it and find their phone numbers. If you want to find these sellers' phone numbers, just go to truepeoplesearch.com. That is a free website that finds basically anyone's phone number absolutely for free. I love this website. And once you get the phone number free, you can go after it. If you actually want to pay for skip tracing, I recommend listrei.com and zacdata.com. Those are the best skip tracing platforms for paid. But really from there, you get their phone number, you're good to go. Now, my top marketing strategies I found have been SMS text blasting, cold calling, door knocking, direct mail, and actually reverse trying for dollars. Now, if you really want to learn the nitty gritty on each one of these, I do recommend you go to my free real estate wholesaling course, freewholesaling.com, where I really break down the entire wholesaling real estate process from A to Z, how to do these marketing strategies. I do not have 2 hours to break down door knocking or reverse trying for dollars, but at freewholesaling.com, I can. But really, let's just talk about reverse wholesaling. Let's talk about reverse trying for dollars. All I basically do is get a sticky note, and once I see the address 123 Maple Street, I'm just gonna drive to that address and stick that sticky note on the door saying, hey, this is Zach, I had a quick question about your property, please give me a call back. And that's really the way to do it the right way. SMS, cold calling, just use the scripts I have at freewholesaling.com and you'll be good to go. Now, honestly guys, from there, you take your marketing out, your seller's gonna have questions about the property. They work pretty similar to any type of motivated seller, MCTP. Keep the conversation pretty simple. Say you and your partner's looking to buy some more properties for cash, and you should be set up to do a real estate wholesaling deal very well. Just keep it simple, guys. Provide cash solutions, get the property under contract, bring it to the title company, find a cash buyer, assign the contract, make a $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 assignment deal, and change your life forever, guys. That is how you find and pull the code violation list absolutely for free. Yes, sometimes they want to pay for it. Yes, sometimes they want to charge you for this list, but if you go around it and keep asking a nice way, you'll definitely get it for free. Guys, if you want to learn wholesaling real estate for free, just go to freewholesaling.com. And if you got any value from this video, smash the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon. This is Zach Ginn signing out. Have a blessed one.